I thought I'd break a little bit from what I have been doing, which has been Australian politics, and I would attempt to focus on just this one segment on American politics, and particularly the Epstein files, because I was interested in having a look at the way Sky News represents the exact same issue compared to the ABC. Now, we must remember that Sky News is continually having a go at the ABC because the ABC is funded by us, and Sky News are funded by us who subscribe to their network or whatever. And I'm always interested in the fact that Sky News always appear to want to grab hold of the higher ground. They're always fighting for that spot which talks about their integrity and their ability to present news in a way which should make the ABC seem embarrassed because of the impartiality that they display on Sky News. It's groundbreaking stuff, actually. So I'm going to have a look at these two clips. You decide which one you think is more appropriate and more sensible. It's just that it does help me to realise, as I've often said, the biases which Sky News have and the narrative they want to sell to all of us, and particularly to their subscribers, is a stark contrast to what we see, I believe, on the ABC. So I'll start with this video. They're relatively long, so bear with me because it's an interesting analysis, I think. Let me know what you think.
Members of Congress are becoming increasingly angry at the Trump administration's refusal to release unredacted Epstein files. This comes after Trump's Attorney General Pam Bondi sparred with lawmakers over her handling of the Epstein files.
About 3 million Epstein-related documents, videos, photographs, audio recordings, police files related to various Epstein investigations were finally released at the end of January. This followed the passage of the Epstein Files Transparency Act by Congress late last year over the objections of the Trump administration, which called for the release of any and all files related to the disgraced late financier. Well, it turns out that only half of them were released, 3 of 6 million. And of those 3 million that were released, we know, as we've all sifted through them, they've been heavily redacted. Lots of blacked out sections in them, not though it seems to protect so much the victims. That was done quite sloppily. It's been quite diligent at trying to protect the alleged perpetrators and even just people incidentally caught up with these investigations, including Donald Trump himself. We have the ridiculous situation where photos clearly of Donald Trump have had the face obscured to try and obscure his identity. So Pam Bondi was before Congress last week as members of Congress themselves were given an opportunity to go to the Justice Department, a small, sort of basically described as a broom closet, a small room at the Justice Department with just 4 computer monitors where they could log on and look at what were meant to be the unredacted Epstein files, or at least the 3 of the 6 million. Congress members turned up and they saw that, in fact, there are still redactions there. There's more there that is in the public domain, that is to be sure, but there is a lot that is still redacted, that not even members of Congress, after passing an enforceable law last year, are being allowed to see. So they are accusing the Trump administration, specifically Pam Bondi, of engaging in an active, illegal cover-up. And we spoke to one of those members of Congress, the Democrat from California, Ted Lieu, who is among those who viewed these semi-redacted documents that we're yet to see. We spoke to him today, and Kath, he is rejecting the suggestion that this cover-up is about protecting, well, some unnamed elites that were in Epstein's circle. He says this is still very much about trying to protect Donald Trump from his crimes. Take a look.
So I won't show you that clip with Lou, but it is worth noting that Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and are the only 2 that have been charged. He's dead, she's locked up. But there are heaps and heaps of people that were involved in this particular activity, and none of them None of them have been prosecuted. Now, there is an argument that Biden and maybe even Obama could have done something about this when they were in power, and I will accept that particular argument. And as you'll see in a moment, I think Danica makes that very point. So let's accept that. Done, dusted. They didn't. But now, and we don't know the reasons why they didn't. It'd be interesting. I'd be interested to hear that explanation. But then we have this interesting contrast, which I'll show you, which is Danica's response on Sky News.
General Pam Bondi has released all of the Epstein files, including justified redactions and a list of high-profile names appearing in the documents. Joining me to discuss the fallout from the files in the US and the UK is Samara Gill, host of Triggered with Samara.
Let's just note one simple fact. She has not released all of the files. There's still 3 million files to be released, and most of the releases have been redacted, lots of information redacted. So let's just accept that one slight indiscretion to start with.
Samara Gill on Talk TV. It's great to have you on the show, Samara. Thank you so much for joining me. Look, I've got the list of names in my hot little hand, and I've got to say there's so many of them. You've got even Pam Bondi herself is named, Cher, Jay-Z, Michael Jackson, Mick Jagger, Diana, Princess of Wales. And I guess this is a thing because we don't know the context. We don't know why they're named. There's also presidents like Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, Donald Trump. I guess my argument in this, Samara, is the Democrats have spent the past couple of months trying to pin down Donald Trump on this. Well, hello, the files are here. He's just released them. To me, he's been vindicated.
I think you're completely right, Danica. He is the one who actually did release them. And that's kind of what Pam Bondi was banging on about at the hearing just a couple days ago, because, you know, they were really trying to pin her on why was this redacted? Why wasn't that redacted? And it's true. He has actually been the most transparent president of them all. He has done what he said he would do in his election promise, which is release all the files. And he's done just that. And
no, he hasn't. But it's interesting, the spin, isn't it? Firstly, let's acknowledge that he hasn't released all the files. Let's acknowledge that he's been mentioned over 1 million times on these documents. That wasn't mentioned. She brought out this list of people that had been listed in the Epstein files for whatever reason, and certainly we don't know the context around all of that. But the issue still remains that I think there's enough evidence and there's enough conversations to be had, and there's enough videos of Donald Trump referring to young women and girls in a most unhelpful, derogatory way. And there's no disputing, in my mind, that Donald Trump was in cohorts with Epstein, and that my allegation is that Donald Trump is clearly a pedophile. But then we must ask, why is he undertaken this episode? He actually stuffed up, because the reality is that his base wanted the Epstein files released because they're full of conspiracy theories, whatever. And it was a QAnon type thing. He went along with it thinking that if he did that, it would be fine and he'd be able to control the narrative. The reality is he no longer can. And as we push more and more into this depth of despair and despicableness and horrible behaviour towards girls, we will discover at the end of the day that there are a lot of important people who are involved, both Democrats and Republicans, and they will be caught out. But what interests me here is the spin that you get from John Barron, the truth of the matter, right, which is obvious to all of us. Anybody who's read the news would know that. And then you get this other spin from Sky News, which is trying to tell us that all the files have been released, all the information is out there. We now know all that we need to know, and Donald Trump had nothing to do with any of it. That is bullshit, and we need to acknowledge it as such. And this will continue for years to come, I'm sure. Once Trump is gone, all the files if it's a Democrat who's president, the files will probably all be released unredacted. But my concern is that thousands of victims that have been involved that have never had their day in court because their system in the United States is so stuffed, so contrived. It's I'm trying to think of the word I'm trying to think of. So, I don't know. It's just unfair. It's inequitable. It's full of corruption. I think that's the word I was looking for. It is. It's a corrupt system, and as a result of that, there will never be, or at this particular point in time, there hasn't been any justice for all those young women, or those now women, but young girls who were abused at the hands of Epstein and his cohorts. So hopefully we'll find the solution to all of that. Let me know what you think about it. Let me just know what you have to say about all of this as well, because I'm always interested in what you say in the comment section. And of course, please subscribe to my videos, ring the bell for notifications, share some of my videos as well. I really do appreciate it.